A huge part of the big lie involves essentially memory holing what happened just 4 months ago. 4 months ago, January 6th, the deadly insurrection whipped up by the president that resulted in the first ever second impeachment in American history, a bipartisan vote in both houses. A big part of what we're seeing now develop, the current Republican agenda, is to minimize the whole thing, make sure nobody talks about the stain it is. It's gotten so bad, this impulse, that Metropolitan Police Officer Michael Fanone, who was beaten and electrocuted by rioters, remember him? He was moved to write this open letter to Congress saying, quote, "I struggle daily with the emotional anxiety of having survived such a traumatic event, but I also struggle with the anxiety of hearing those who continue to downplay the events of that day and those who ignore them altogether with their lack of acknowledgement. The indifference shown to my colleagues and I is disgraceful." Congressman Ruben Gallego of Arizona was also at the Capitol, stormed on January 6th, and he joins me now. Do you get the sense that there is this concerted effort to memory hold January 6th, to move everybody away from it, and that in some ways there's an interplay between what we're seeing with the Liz Cheney-Stefanik fight and that attempt?
Absolutely. And it started right away. First it was just the elderly people. Then they tried to say it was, Antifa, or, it was actually, people dressing up as Trump supporters. And now, you're hearing from, Republican pundits and members of Congress that it actually wasn't even that violent, right? Even though we saw police officers afterwards, I saw them face to face that were bruised and bloodied. We saw police officers getting attacked. But now you have politicians like Kevin McCarthy that just want to cover it up because they know that the only way they survive in the future is by holding Trump close to their hearts. And Trump, if you recognize that there was an attempted insurrection, that there was violence, then Trump basically is going to throw you to the side. So this is really all at the feet of Kevin McCarthy. He is above everything else. He has no soul. He's a craven politician. And he will basically throw these police officers to the side in order for him to get his political goals. For the party that says they back the blue, they certainly don't back the police officers that were protecting us on Capitol Hill. They're just throwing them away as if they're just, used paper.
I want to read a tweet that I saw from you to Marjorie Taylor Greene, where she was sort of talking about, which tweet I'm going to read. I can see from your facial expression. She was saying that Democrat policies are destructive, blah, blah, blah. You said, "I was trying to figure out what type of pen to stab your friends with if they overran us on the floor of the House of Representatives while trying to conduct a democratic transition of power. So please shut your seditious, QAnon-loving mouth when it comes to who loves America." You stand by that?
I'd like to know, please.
What's that?
I did say please, though.
You sound like my 7-year-old son who shoves that in there when he gets fresh. But I mean, in all seriousness, I get the rage that is encapsulated both in, I think that's genuine in you and this. But every time I see this, or every time I think about the workplace you're in the aftermath 4 months ago of this, it just seems like a completely toxic and dysfunctional place, in which half your colleagues essentially voted to overturn an election. No one's apologized, and watch these people maraud through, and everyone wants to forget about it. And it's just a weird situation up there.
Well, and everyone wants to forget about it. And, whenever someone like myself pushes back, especially when you try to call the other party the enemy of the state and encourage that type of insurrection again, what you get is a lot of, both sidisms, oh, you shouldn't be going down to the level. No. Sedition is bad, right? Encouraging insurrection is horrible to this country. And any politician, whether Democrat or Republican, that does it should be held accountable. And the fact that there are so-called leaders that are just trying to just memory hold the whole thing, it's a disgrace. And the fact that, someone like Elise Stefanik, who at least is smart enough to understand what's going, has become such a soulless politician. And I've known her since college, by the way, and I used to consider her a friend. But the fact is, she sold her soul to one of the persons that is probably the least respectable, the least honorable person you'll ever meet in Donald Trump. And it's just sad. It's a sad statement on the party, sad statement of the Republican Party. And really, it's not going to change until they actually feel the repercussions of this at the polling place. So this is why I'm going on the offensive. This is why if you see me talking about it, tweet about it, I'm always attacking those that actually voted to overturn the elections. And I will have some more actions to follow up on that coming in the near future, too.
It's interesting you guys known each other since college. I saw that you were both Harvard, and I think around the same time. Just to follow up, when you say you used to consider her a friend, what you don't anymore?
I can't really, politics aside, I have a lot of friends that are actually really close Republican friends, guys that I served the Marine Corps with, guys that I campaigned against, and I've actually become really good friends with them. But when you support an insurrection, when you become seditionist, and you're smart enough to know the difference. Like, I understand people like Gosar and a couple of these other people, they're not that bright. She's bright. She sold herself out, and she has sold her soul. And I just can't do that. I can't work with people that are that just craven and soulless. And we used to co-sponsor legislation together, and I just won't do it. And who cares? I don't care if she gets into leadership next year. If somehow, the Democrats don't win again, it's not worth it. I cannot live with myself. I fought too long for this country, and I'm just not going to, just sell out just to get on, because that's what politics demands.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.